An important story I want to share is back in the day in my early 20s. I was working a minimum wage job. I had a one-bedroom apartment, and I had a vehicle. And I wanted a new vehicle. I think it was the 94, 95 Ford Escort, the new model. It just came out, and I wanted that car. And so I saved my money up. I was working, trying to work overtime to get that car. Now, at the same time, I was taking classes at CDCC, it's a community college, and I wasn't really serious at that moment, but my focus switched to that new car, and I was able to get the car. And I remember, the lady said, "Yes, the car is yours. Don't worry about anything. We just have to do some dealings with the bank." And she gave me the car. And I traded in my old car for the new car. And I rode around town. I was with my friends. I was with my family. Brand new car, showing off. Made sure everybody saw me. Went and picked up everybody to give them rides. So was really into that car. And about 2 weeks later, I received a call from the car dealership. It was the same lady who sold me the car, and she said that they had to take the car back because at that time, being a young kid in the early 20s, my credit wasn't great back then. Made some mistakes, so she apologized and said I had to turn the car back in because none of the banks would take me on or accept it. Devastated, crushed, embarrassed. And I had to drive the car back, and they gave me my old car back. Oh man, the pure embarrassment and just having to drive my old car again. So fast forward, and it was about 8 months later, and I filled out, some applications to transfer. And I got accepted to what is my alma mater now, Lynchburg College, and got accepted. And they were trying to, my counselor, my academic counselor, and in the financial aid, they had some great scholarships available for me to transfer. And basically, they wanted me to move on campus, and I was kind of worried about moving on campus. Then, at that time, I believe I was 22, 23, but, didn't want to live on campus at all. But they had some great scholarships and funding for me to move on campus. And so I remember when the lady asked me, she was like, "Do you qualify for this? We're trying to get more, older students, on our campus." And she was like, basically, everything would be paid for, just live on campus. And I remember she asked, she was like, with the curriculum and what I was taking, really couldn't have a job because I would be a full-time student. And I remember she asked me, "Do you have anything that will, keep you from moving on campus?" She was like, "So I can give up my apartment." And then she said, "Well, do you have a car payment?" And that's when it clicked. And if I would have taken that car, if I would have kept that car or been able to keep that car, I would have had like a 3 to 4 year car payment. And I wouldn't have been able to make that life-changing move of transferring and moving on campus. And, the rest was history. And at that moment, I knew that's why I wasn't supposed to get that car. That's why I wasn't supposed to keep that car. Even through the shame and embarrassment, of having to tell my friends and explain everything to my friends, 6 to 8 months later, I was on campus, I was living on campus, and that was the springboard, the greatest thing that happened to me, and, just changed the trajectory of my life. And, a lot of times we get disappointed, things don't work out. We say, "Why me?" We're embarrassed at things that we thought, was going to work out and it didn't. But the lesson that I learned at that moment is, God sometimes, many times, God saves you from the lesser things to prepare you for the greater things. And like I said, if I would have had that car payment, I wouldn't have been able to move on campus. So I would have had to keep a job to keep that car. So when things don't work out, when things, setbacks in life, hey, God saves us from lesser things. And He saved me from remaining in that situation and having to stay in that situation, to being able to change my life and move in another direction. So when things don't work out, mishaps, setbacks, keep the faith, keep going. God is preparing you for something greater. And keep the faith and move on. And keep your eyes forward, keep working, because you're not done.